Rain poured over the quiet town like the sky was warning everyone to stay inside. Shops were closing early, streets were empty, and only the streetlights were fighting the darkness. But one man loved nights like this, Officer Dalton, the corrupt cop who believed he owned the town. He walked with confidence, not because he was brave, but because he feared no one. He used his badge like a weapon. Dalton stepped out of his car and saw a woman walking out of a small grocery store. She held a paper bag and opened her umbrella. She walked slow, calm, and confident. Her presence was powerful, even in silence. Her name was Maya, but Dalton didn't know that. He only saw a woman walking alone. A smirk came to Dalton's face. "Perfect," he whispered. He blocked her path. "Where are you going this late?" His voice was sharp and disrespectful. Maya looked at him with steady eyes. "Home," she replied simply. Dalton hated her tone. She wasn't scared. She wasn't impressed by his uniform. He stepped closer, letting the rain slide off his jacket. "You should show some respect." "Do you know who I am?" Maya answered softly. "Do you know who I am?" Her words irritated him. He grabbed her arm roughly. The grocery bag slipped from her hand and fell into the water. People nearby watched silently, scared to step in. They knew Dalton. They feared him, but they also knew something Dalton didn't. Maya wasn't just anyone. She was Maya Carter, the respected black wife of Chief Samuel Carter, the most powerful man in the district. Maya didn't fight back. She allowed Dalton to drag her toward his patrol car. But her eyes never changed. They were calm, steady, and cold. Inside the car, Dalton kept talking nonsense. He bragged about his badge, threatened her, called her names. Maya stared at the window, listening to the rain hitting the glass. She looked like a queen sitting in the wrong place. After a long silence, she finally said, "You will regret this. Every second of tonight." Dalton laughed loudly, not realizing he was laughing at his own destruction. When the car reached the station, a young officer rushed outside. His eyes went wide with shock. "Sir, please tell me you didn't touch her." Dalton frowned. "What are you talking about?" The young officer's voice shook. "That woman. She is the chief's wife." Those words hit Dalton like a bullet. His face turned pale. His breath froze. He slowly turned toward Maya, who now stepped out of the car with quiet elegance. She gave him a small, cold smile. "Now you know." Dalton stepped back, shaking. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Maya walked inside the station without fear, leaving Dalton standing in the rain like a broken statue. And that night, the town knew a storm far worse than rain had just begun. The police station felt colder than the rain outside. Officers whispered to each other, their faces tight with fear. Nobody moved freely. Nobody breathed loudly. Everyone knew what was coming, because Chief Samuel Carter had been called. He arrived without flashing lights, without sirens, without any anger on his face. He walked in with calm steps, wearing a long black coat soaked from the storm. His expression was unreadable, and that made everyone even more terrified. Samuel Carter was not known for shouting. He was known for ending careers with silence. Dalton stood frozen near the entrance. His heart felt like it stopped beating the moment he saw the chief. Sweat mixed with rain on his forehead. He tried to speak, but his lips only shook. Maya stood near a desk, her posture straight and elegant. She didn't run toward her husband. She didn't hug him. She didn't cry. She simply said, "Samuel, I am fine." Samuel nodded once. His eyes then shifted to Dalton slowly, like he was examining something unpleasant. "Officer Dalton," he said in a quiet voice, "come with me." Every officer stepped aside as Samuel walked toward the interrogation room. Dalton followed weakly, his legs barely holding him. The silence in the station felt like a storm about to explode. Inside the room, Samuel closed the door gently. He did not sit. He did not shout. He only looked at Dalton, who stood shaking like a guilty child. "Tell me exactly what you did tonight," Samuel said, voice soft. Too soft. Dalton broke immediately. She didn't answer me right. She acted like she was above the law. I thought she was an easy target," Samuel finished. Dalton swallowed hard. "You abused your power," Samuel continued. "You touched her. You threatened her. You humiliated her. You forced her into your car. He took one step closer. And you didn't even know who she was." Dalton's voice cracked. It was a mistake." Samuel's eyes narrowed slightly. "Your mistake has a long history." He placed a thick file on the table. Dalton's corrupt actions were listed inside: bribes, false reports, threats, violence. Every dirty secret. Every crime he thought was hidden. Dalton's knees weakened. "Chief, please. Have mercy." Samuel leaned closer. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You misjudged my wife. But your biggest mistake was believing your uniform made you powerful." The chief stepped back and called 2 officers in. "Take him to holding," he ordered. "And prepare every file for internal review." Dalton began crying, shaking, begging as they dragged him out. His voice echoed through the station, but no one helped him. No one pitied him. Maya walked to Samuel and gently placed her hand on his arm. "It's enough," she said softly. Samuel nodded. But his eyes stayed cold, because the storm wasn't over yet. This was only the beginning. Morning arrived, but the police station did not feel brighter. Everyone walked carefully, speaking in low voices because the news about Dalton had already spread like fire. Officers avoided the holding cells. They knew a storm was about to end, and a new order was about to begin. Dalton sat inside the cell, his face swollen from crying. His uniform looked dirty, his confidence completely gone. For the first time in his life, he felt small, invisible, weak. The same way he made innocent people feel. Chief Samuel Carter entered the hallway with slow, firm steps. His presence made every officer stand straight. His eyes were calm, but cold enough to freeze the air. "Maya and I will begin the review now," he announced. Maya walked beside him, graceful and strong. She wasn't just a victim, she looked like someone ready to face truth. Even if truth was heavy. They entered the large briefing room. Inside, a projector lit up the wall. Officers, community leaders, and a few local citizens filled the seats. Everyone came for one reason: to see the truth about Officer Dalton. Samuel placed a thick folder on the table. "Let's begin." He opened Dalton's file. One by one, every corrupt act was shown. A man Dalton threatened to stay silent, a woman he harassed during a traffic stop. A young boy he scared for no reason, reports he changed money, he took power, he misused. Faces appeared on the screen. Voices shook as they shared what Dalton did to them. Some cried. Some trembled. Some simply looked relieved that justice had finally arrived. Dalton was brought into the room in handcuffs. His legs were shaking, his eyes swollen. He couldn't look at anyone. Samuel faced the crowd. "Leadership is not about fear," he said softly. "It is about protecting the people who trust us." Then he turned to Dalton. "You used fear to gain power. But today, that ends." Dalton fell to his knees. "Chief, please. I'm sorry. I lost control. Give me one more chance." Maya stepped forward, her voice calm and steady. "Chances for people who make mistakes, not for people who enjoy hurting others." Her words cut deeper than any punishment. The room went silent. Samuel spoke the final decision. "Officer Dalton, you are officially removed from duty. You will face full legal action for your crimes." The officers escorted Dalton out. His cries echoed down the hall, but nobody turned to look. The power he abused had now turned into the chains he wore. When everything ended, Samuel walked outside the station. Maya followed him. The sky was clear now, the storm's gone. People from the community stood outside, watching silently. One elderly woman whispered, "Justice finally came." Another added, "And it came because a black woman stood strong." Samuel held Maya's hand gently. "You didn't deserve any of this," he said softly. Maya looked ahead with calm pride. "But I made sure it ended." They walked forward together as the crowd parted, giving them space and respect. In the narrator's voice, the story closes. Power is not in a badge. It is in character. And tonight, character 1